Guys, Ross here from Agency Knowledge. I'm going to show you guys in this video how to increase your income this week, this year, today. If you implement this, it's going to save so much time, and it's been literally a game changer for me. Before I can really explain, though, I have to tell you the story of when this really kicked in for me. Now, you guys have probably heard if you've seen my web training, which if you haven't, you can click on it below after this. I talk a little bit about how when I was in Miami and I spent the whole time on that vacation working, my wife got mad at me and how that's how I really found my scalable model here. But I want to tell you another story. And I actually already had a team at this time who was running things. It was all remote. And I got to my office and I had a specific task I was working on. And it was for my business. It was like a webinar or something. I can't remember. I just remember there was something that I was actually really excited to work on. It was a project that I couldn't wait to do. And while I was doing this getting ready for this project, I knew it would grow my business. It would grow my revenue, but I kept getting pulled off of it. It was like, hey, I need to do, it was this little task or this app. Okay, this just broke. Oh, I need to do that. All these dumb little tasks started happening. And it was stuff that I was the only person who had access to. It was starting to expose that there was this new level in my business of capacity that was being reached. I had delegated very well, but even when you start delegating, you still have people answering to you and reporting to you. And so at some point, your capacity gets full again. And if you're like me, what happens is, like, if I delegate a bunch of things and now I have time to work on things, I start working and I start creating new tasks for myself, creating new jobs for myself that are going to continue to grow the business. And at some point, that in itself becomes a new position in the company, because if I want to keep doing that, I have to keep offloading those things. So anyways, the day finished and I was so angry. I was so angry because I couldn't seem to get anything done. I looked back and I was like, I have literally got nothing done today that I wanted done. So I started thinking, who is somebody that I could hire? And I called and I made a phone call and I hired someone on the spot because I knew who they were. I liked them. And I called them and they said, yeah, I would love this. And I just hired them right away. And I offloaded all that work to them. And then it allowed me to be happy again. And I started, and it really made me realize something, that your income today is completely based off of your capacity and also what you're filling your cup with. Now, I understand that when you're first starting your business, there's some things that you have to do yourself, and it is what it is. But let's just use this illustration here, and let's just say this is a poorly drawn cup, but let's just say that we want to fill our cup up with water. So you want to have your cup completely full before you end up handing it off to someone else, or at least most of us. I shouldn't say that. Most of us get it completely full before we're ready to. Really, we should start handing it off when it gets to about the halfway point. But oftentimes when you look at what people are putting in their cup, like when I start breaking down and dissecting it, it's tasks that are not worth any more than $15 an hour. Oh, I'm connecting these apps. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm siphoning through some data. I'm building client reports. And it's all these different tasks that really are not worth that much per hour. And they're filling their own cup with those things. And a good way to put it would be this. Let's say you got hired as the CEO of a company, or let's say you were the marketing director of the company, and they're paying you $200,000 a year. And your boss comes and he's like, hey, I want to see what you've been doing all this week, how you've got, show me what progress we're making. And you're like, well, I actually haven't gotten that much done because as I was walking into the office, the windows here were disgusting. So I started cleaning the windows. I started cleaning the floor. And then when I was in the bathroom, I noticed no one's been taking out the garbage. So I started taking out the garbage, and he's going to look and be like, we pay janitors to do all that junk. We're not paying you $200,000 to clean the windows. We're paying you that to move the needle in our business. And it's a mental shift that you have to start making, because sometimes we have this like pride, or we think it's honorable to do these tasks that we'll call menial. And it is to some degree, like you want to get your hands dirty. But when you're growing your business, you also have to be smart and realize what are the right things to spend your time on, if that makes sense. When we were building out this office, any money that we saved would go into my pocket. We were allotted $60,000 for this project from the building owner. And I could have, and it was tempting at times to be like, oh, I'm going to go do all the painting, or I'm going to go do that because I could get that cheap. But then when I look at it, I'm like, it's just not worth my time to do it. So you have to start looking at what your current capacity is. And the more capacity that you have to work on needle moving things, we'll say needle is what you should be moving or filling your cup with, the more income you're going to essentially make. Now, here's an interesting thought. What if you have no clients at all right now? What if you have no clients at all? Well, what we have actually found is that most people who have no clients, they don't realize it, but they don't have the capacity to take on even one client. I know that sounds crazy. That most people who have no clients right now, it's because they don't have the capacity to take on the one client. What I mean by that is you look at their day and they might be doing outreach, trying to get people interested. So they're doing all these things trying to get appointments. And then when they get on the appointments, they're trying to close all these people. They finally land a client and they're spending so much time trying to get that client results so they don't lose them, that their pipeline becomes empty. And they get into this vicious cycle of trying to take on clients and make clients happy and maintain relationships. And they can't even take on a single client. They don't even have capacity. Right now, if you have no clients, this might be a hard reality for you to hear, but you do not have the capacity to take on one client. You just don't. If you did, you would have had them by now if you're doing the right things. So that's just a harsh reality, but numbers don't lie. Some people might disagree with that, but if you could have more clients right now, then why don't you? That would be a great question to ask. So then what's the answer? What's the answer to? Well, you got to start finding ways to make it where you can be focused on needle moving activities. I'll give you an example of this. In the training that I have down below, I make an example for people. I say that you could spend right now you could spend 40 hours prospecting. You could spend the whole week prospecting and you could get one client possibly, on your own. Most agencies are maybe getting 1 to 4 clients a month. That's just the reality. And I'm talking about these little solo agencies who bought a course and they're trying to make $10,000 a month. And some go months and months and months without even getting a single client. So you could go all this time and get one client, or you could spend that 40 hours building a system that basically hires and trains stay-at-home parents to cold call and set appointments for you, and you get no clients that week. But then the next week, now let's just say you've got 5 parents and they are all making cold calls, and let's say that these people are setting 3 to 5 appointments per week each. So for easy math and to be conservative, we'll just say that they're each getting 3 here. So now we have a total of 15 appointments that have come in, and they're going to keep coming in on a weekly basis, and it's not going to take you 40 hours. It's probably only going to actually in reality take you about 10 hours or maybe even less than that, 8 hours to set everything up. But you set up all this stuff, and now what you've done is you've invested your time in things that continue to produce. You see, when I was living month to month, everything that I always did was I'd put in a bunch of time, I'd get one big sale, but now I was on to the next one. It was like a constant hustle and a constant grind. What you have to be asking yourself is are the things that I'm spending my time on right now going to continually benefit me all year. So like right now, if I pick up this phone and I make a cold call by myself, is that time going to benefit me 4 months from now? Well, possibly could. If you land a client, you can make the argument and then they refer people, whatever. I get that. And I started off my business doing my own cold calling, but I didn't really ever get to a scalable and happy, satisfying point until I got to this point where I realized that I should be putting my time into things and systems that continue to produce even if I'm not there. Hopefully this is making sense for you guys. So now I want you to think about what's next level here is you might still have to get on your own closing calls, but now you might spend 8 hours on closing calls rather than 8 hours trying to get appointments. So now you're getting closer to the needle. Then once you start having, say, 10 appointments a day, 5 to 10 appointments a day, then you put some time into investing into a good closer. That closer can get on those calls and it's going to make your life really, really easy. Then what you've got here, and this is probably actually going to happen more parallel to this, not after. But then what you do is you get somebody that's basically your operations person. And in the beginning, this person's usually initially setting up campaigns and onboarding people, so forth. And this is about a $2,500 a month position. But if you're making, say, 15 to 20 grand a month by this point, you can afford to pay someone $2,500 to do these things. They can probably handle anywhere from 30 to 50 campaigns on a monthly basis that they're running. And this person's going to make your life real easy. And what you're going to do is you're going to start offsetting a lot of tasks to them. And then you're going to start scaling their time. So like if all of a sudden they're like, support has just been crazy. Okay, we need to hire a support person. But your income is going up and now you're building your company out. You cannot increase your revenue without increasing your personal capacity. It's just how it is. Just got off the phone a few minutes ago with a coaching client of mine, and he's doing very well. He's got a great agency, and his biggest problem is he's got more business than he can currently handle. And I've been telling him for about 3 weeks now, you need to dedicate time to training these people, blah, 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 blah. And today we finally had that call. It's like, dude, you will not make any more money or be happier until you do this. Like, you have to make this next step. Because what will inevitably happen is your family life, your personal life, all that will start deteriorating if you actually become successful. Most people don't realize it, but if you actually had a $20,000 a month agency right now and it was just you would be miserable. Like, you've already failed if that's the thinking that you have. You have to go into this with the mindset of, I'm going to build this the right way. I'm going to systemize things, because that's the only way you're ever going to actually be successful. Now, we teach our students how to do this. I show them the ins and outs in my program of the systems that I'm utilizing. Our group coaching is even starting back up this Wednesday, where I go through and I'm just showing tons of cool tricks and tips. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate you. If you guys have not already done so, please subscribe below. It helps me out, and you guys have a great day.